Welcome, listeners. You are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. Every week. Yeah, it is. Every week we have a different topic under that umbrella, and we broadcast on the radio show on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation.
But you won't hear this show for at least a few weeks because it's pre-recorded.
Right. We pre-record the show on our Facebook group called Awaken Your Psychic Abilities and my Dr. Leslie Phillips YouTube channel. So if you follow or join one of those, you get the show 6 weeks ahead of the broadcast. And you can also catch all of the previous podcast episodes on all the major podcasting platforms and on drlesliephillips.com. Well, Corey, would you like to introduce tonight's episode?
Tonight, we're going to be discussing pizza. You said we could. No, actually, we're doing healing therapy. And for the forms of healing therapy and what healing therapy is, energy healing therapy. For those of you, I'm sure a lot of you are aware, and a lot of you do it without even knowing you do it. Let's see how interesting a topic this is.
Let's see. Let's find out. Let's talk about energy healing. Everything is energy, including you. Your body, your energy field is electromagnetic energy that's structured in a particular form, in a particular configuration. Who made it that way? Who put it in that particular structure and form? You, the higher being, the higher consciousness. You created your body, and you continuously create your body in each and every moment. Everything in your body and everything in your energy field is you and your creation. And so when you put it like that, a few things follow. And so that means you're not a victim. You're not ever a victim of circumstances. That you completely create your reality. You completely create your body and your energy. The good news about that is if you create something that you don't like, you can uncreate it and create something else instead.
There's a rider on that. You may not have created it in this life. You may have created it before you got here. So there would be two different points of view, the spiritual point of view and the physical point of view.
Yeah, on this show, we talk about the spiritual point of view, but people often do take a physical point of view. And sometimes when they do that, they don't realize that it is them, that it is they who have created their reality. Oftentimes because they can't see the connection between cause and effect. But basically, this reality is about whatever choices you make, energetically speaking, in time and space, they're reflected back at you. And so we can always look at some kind of physical, emotional, or mental disturbance energetically back to the cause. And what I was saying was, so if you create it, then you can uncreate it. So everything is energy, you are energy, and all healing is changing energy from one energetic configuration to another. And ultimately, we can change energy through our intentions, through our will, through our desire. And so if there's something within your reality that you don't like, with your intentions, you can disassemble it and replace it with something else. And that's the basic principle of all healing. All healing is change. All healing is changing energy. And you can create that change through your intentions. And so it doesn't really matter what energy modality that you're talking about, what framework or philosophy you are following in order to perform healing. Ultimately, it's that principle at play. Everything is energy, and you can manipulate and change energy with your intentions. Now, okay, so that applies to self-healing, but what about healing somebody else? What about, so basically healing somebody else is helping somebody else to change their energy configuration in alignment with their highest and greatest good, and in conjunction with their permission. So as a healer, sometimes somebody may show up and say, I want to heal. And sometimes people that show up and say that genuinely do want to heal. And sometimes people who show up and say that actually really they don't want to change. And so as an energy healer, the only ones that we can really help are the ones that within themselves do wish to change. As an energy healer, what we can do is offer neutral cleansing energy, neutral healing energy to help energize that person's system, to help catalyze the healing process, to help give them an energy boost. And then it is up to them what they do with that energy. Now, we can, as a healer, through our intentions, direct the energy in particular ways. But it's always up to that person to accept the healing, to receive the healing, to allow the healing to take place. And so I always think if you meet a healer with a big ego and it's all about me, run 1,000 miles. But if you meet a healer who is humble and grounded and present, then, you know, that's somebody that perhaps you can trust with your healing process.
One of the things I always say about this topic is that there's a definite difference between healing and cure. And people are looking for, when they're looking for cure, it's a physical thing. So they have an ailment, they've got a sore arm, or they've got a sore leg, or they have whatever, and they're looking for that symptom to become better, you know, the symptoms that are showing up. But the issue is that the symptoms that are showing up are just a representation of something deeper, something more entailed, generally a trauma from the past, or a personal trauma, or spiritual trauma. And so people that look for cure aren't always ready to have a healing. They might be ready, they might be thinking they're ready for a healing, but it's not a healing that they're after. They're just after a relief of physical pain, which is not in all cases the worst thing in the world. But the thing is, you really have to look for something deeper when you're looking for a healing. It's spiritual. It goes into your depth, and once you change that experience, a lot of other things change in your life. Right, Dr. Leslie?
Sure. So you mentioned something at the beginning there, cure. So there is a concept.
Sorry, sweetie. YouTube looks like it's frozen here, but we'll keep going.
Okay. So you mentioned something there. You said cure, and often people are looking for a cure. And remember, I said all healing is change. So a cure is a type of change, but there are other types of change that are not a cure. So think about somebody who's dying, and it really is their time to die. Does it mean that that person can't receive a healing and benefit from it? Does it mean that that person can't change during the dying process? Does it mean that that person can't heal themselves during the dying process? And the answer is no. A dying person can change, can shift their energy, can do all sorts of healing in the dying process. And so I think we have to examine our concept of healing and what healing is, because often there's a very, very narrow idea that of what that has to look like, what healing has to look like. That dying person has to live, otherwise it wasn't a healing, otherwise it wasn't a cure. So healing can take many guises, and and then I'm thinking also of another example. Sometimes somebody will, because they won't take responsibility for their own healing, and they're not ready to say that, this is my creation, they may get addicted to going to a healer and to going to healings over and over and over and over again, when actually they could shift that very, very quickly. So that person is stuck in a cycle of pain, and that person is stuck in giving over all responsibility for their healing to somebody else. But there might be another person who, let's say they have some kind of chronic illness, long-term illness, and they might go to a healer and benefit from going to a healer, and yet they may still remain in a state of what we might think of as disabled. But perhaps that person's life purpose is to show up that way because they are giving a gift of others, to allow others to give, to allow others to show and learn compassion. And maybe even in a larger context within themselves, they're balancing an imbalance so that they are, receiving more this lifetime by way of having a disability. So there's all sorts of different ways that we can look at the idea of healing and energy healing and what it is and what it means. And oftentimes people will go to a healer looking for a miracle, looking for somebody with a magic wand that will wave their magic wand, and all of a sudden, I'm cured. And that's not what healing is. If you don't take responsibility for yourself and your situation, then you're not going to get a miracle. The other thing is, for any type of healing to work, that person has to believe in it. The healer has to believe in it. The one receiving the healing has to believe in it, and believe it can happen for them as well. So you're tuning in, folks, to Unlocking Your Truth. Tonight we're talking about healing, and I want to invite anyone who's watching live to post any questions or comments that they might have about healing and the healing process.
So I have a question. Which one is the best modality?
Well, you see, that's why I introduced this and talked about this in the way that I did, which was to take it a level above and beyond the modality, or take it to a principle underlying the modality, because it doesn't really matter what modality. What is a modality? It's a framework, it's a belief system, it's a philosophy, it's a series of steps or a process that somebody takes in order to do the healing. But underlying all modalities are these core principles. And the core principles are everything is energy and everything changes and can change. And we, as the conscious creative beings that we are, can shift and change energy. I mean, that's literally it, simply speaking. So when I perform healing, I'm working at the level of that principle. I'm not using any modality whatsoever. I'm just working directly with the energy, observing the energy, and seeing how to bring that energy back into alignment. I mean, I guess that's another point. The other way we might look at it is to say what we're doing in healing is taking an energy that's out of balance and bringing it back into balance, or taking an energy that's out of alignment and helping bring it into alignment. So when I do an energy healing, I'm looking for the misalignment, and then I am manipulating and working with the energy to let go of what's causing the misalignment to help bring that person back into alignment. And I would say that all healing modalities are attempting to do that. So I would never make a hierarchy of healing modalities and say this one is better than that one. I think, sometimes people do that. And then we've got a touch of the ego and competition involved. And we've perhaps got a touch of not really understanding the core principles of what you're doing either. So
that's the point I was trying to bring up, is that then the human aspect comes in, and you're moving away from the spiritual side of the process.
Yes. And I mean, the other thing that there's a couple of other comments that I would make. One is that some of these modalities, Corey's telling me we have to go to a break. I guess I'll make those comments when we come back. Listeners, you're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back, listeners. You're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey on a lovely evening where we're talking about energy healing.
Every evening that we all get together is a lovely evening.
Yeah, and I am trying to bring this down to the basic core principles of healing rather than talk about a particular modality. But we were just on the subject of modalities before we went to the break. So a couple of comments on that. One is, if you believe it, then it will be so. So let's say you believe in a particular modality over others, then that's going to work for you, and that's going to be your permission slip to change. Or, somebody receiving a healing believes that, EMF is great and Reiki is rubbish. So they go to a Reiki practitioner, it won't work for them. But if they go to someone else with emotional freedom technique or something, then it will work for them. But really all that's happening is that person is giving themselves permission to make the change they need to change through the belief that this is the way to do it. They could believe I balance a carrot on my head and I'll be healed. And if they believe it will happen. And then the other comment I wanted to make is, and this is just my personal take on it, that, so often people are learning a modality, and maybe the modality is you do this, and then you do that, and then you do this, and then you hold your hands in that position, and then you hold them in that, without actually any understanding or ability to be observing actually what's happening, and actually what that's doing, and actually what's really going on within the client or the receiver's energy system. And so, I mean, that can be great. And the more people trained in healing modalities, the better, on the one hand. On the other hand, for me, I think that it is highly beneficial for a healer to be able to use their intuitive senses, to be able to actually see the energy, feel the energy, know what's happening within the energy, see what needs to be tweaked and changed, observe the energy that they're bringing in and how they're reconstructing somebody's system. It's the difference between a surgeon who's actually watching what they're doing and a surgeon who's got their eyes closed but knows, or pick up the scalpel and I don't know, do an 8-inch incision. I think there is a difference. Corey.
There definitely there's a difference. Richard Bandler said, the founder of NLP, one of the co-founders of NLP, said, if one thing doesn't work, try something else. And it's not just the person that comes to you. I mean, as a healer, I think having one format of working with one modality, you're going to have people that doesn't register with, that doesn't jive with. And just like your surgeon, if your surgeon comes in and they only know one way to get at an organ that they're operating on, they don't know any other direction they can go from, then if there's a problem, that you're hooped. You're hooped. For instance, with what's that surgery called? When you go in with the scope.
Laparoscopic.
Laparoscopic. A surgeon will come in and say, we're going to do this laparoscopically, but if there's an issue, I'm going to have to make a larger incision. They have to know how to do both of those. And so it's about learning how to go about giving the best of yourself to the person that's coming to you. And sometimes it takes more than one thing.
Yeah, or one approach. And, sometimes somebody's got beliefs that are so ingrained and rigid, you might even have to come at them through their own beliefs in order to help them.
Definitely. But one thing I have learned, and I've seen this so many times, is there's only one place to come from with energy healing. There's only one place to be, and that's not to be in your head, it's to be in your heart, to be in here. And because I think you said it, I'm just saying it in a different way. I remember one of my mentors said, okay, so what you do is you do some of these steps or the way you want to do it, but then literally see a stone drop from your head into your heart. Just go right into love. And I do that with one of my healing modalities that I do. I do all my work. I look at it and then I drop. And as I drop into my heart, things start to change. Things happen. And it's just the most amazing thing to watch. And it's just, I can wait, and then I drop into my heart and it changes. Or I can go instantaneously into my heart and it changes. And it is real, it is effectual. Going into your heart makes a big difference in everything you do.
Well, I probably would not exactly disagree, but say it differently. In that, in order to observe that energy and use your clairvoyance, you have to be in the center of your head. But you can balance that out by having part of your consciousness simultaneously in the heart, so that you have both your compassion and your clear, acute ability to see.
There's a big difference between being in your intellect or in the center of your head, in your pituitary, in your pineal glands, coming from your third eye. There's a very big difference. And you can be, when you're there in the center of your head, you're connecting with your higher self. So you obviously are going to go into your heart almost instantaneously anyway. You're going to be, or let me rephrase that, you're not going to be in your intellect. So the only other place you can really be is in your heart.
No, but you won't be in your intellect, and that's the point.
That's exactly it, yeah. Well,
point,
that's what I mean. Yeah.
yeah, that's the point. Oh, you can be in your big toe if you like.
Oh, yes. Oh, no, there's no question.
That's
But
not
let me rephrase it. Given the two choices of heart or intellect, then you will be in your heart if you're not in your intellect.
okay. I wouldn't say it that way.
Back to the Dr. Leslie show, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, if I'm giving a healing, I'm in my head, but I'm in the center of my head. I'm in the center of my sixth chakra, and I'm observing the energy. But I'm also in my heart, so that I can approach my client through compassion for their situation.
But you're not sitting there working on. You're not sitting there working on your shopping list and wondering where you're going to pick up your next
And that's
grocery order from.
because I mean, I think some of these healing modalities, one could be doing that. Oh, I've got my hands here. Okay, I'm going to Sainsbury's next. Okay, I put my hands here. Okay, oh, I've got to pick up the kids from school. Exactly. You've got to be completely in the moment, completely present, and fully participating, bringing all of yourself to the healing process.
Yeah.
If you are the healer.
So I have another question for you that comes about this. And this is one that you get a lot of questions on this. I'm just giving you some questions before we go to our listeners, because I want to direct this in a little bit of a different way, as well, make sure I direct this in the way that I thought we would. And so the question is, who can be a healer?
Who can be a healer? Everyone. Who is a healer? Everyone. Have you ever made a change in your life? You healed something, you changed it. Everyone. Everyone can.
So basically, it's a choice.
Well, you can make a conscious choice to heal yourself, and you can make a conscious choice to follow the life path of a healer, if that's what you're asking.
So you don't have to be anointed. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, no, okay. So I see what you're getting at, Corey. There are some spiritual paths that decree that the guru will initiate you to this level, and then the next level, and then the next level. And no, you are spirit. You are eternal. You are an aspect of divine consciousness. You are a sovereign being within your own right. You can connect directly to divine source and all the information that you need directly in order to create any change that you need. And you don't create any circumstance in your life that you are not capable of, if it's a challenge transcending, or if it's a desire to become something, you wouldn't be desiring it if it wasn't possible. And so, no, you do not require a guru that will initiate you or anoint you. However, I would say that it can be very, very helpful to have a really good teacher, because stumbling around on your own and learning by trial and error can be quite different than having a really good teacher that can direct you and explain to you and teach you techniques and so on, and help you become the healer that you want to be.
Very true. Yeah, because a lot of people don't, I think a lot of people that come to you with that question, like, how do I become a healer? Like, do I need to have a special whatever? And I know that it's just such a inert thing within you. Everybody has that wonderful ability to just give of themselves And
Yeah.
you don't have to have that book in front of you going, no, I'll do this and then next I do that. But like you say, but yes, having a guide and a mentor is just a wonderful thing. One of
Yeah.
my mentors, my favorite modality, and said to us one day, says, okay, so this is how I do it. If you do it this way, then you're doing it wrong. You have to do it your own way. And that
Yeah.
was so wonderful. I mean, to hear that he believed that was the way you
Yes.
have the ability to choose how to do this.
Yeah. And I say that to all my students. I will teach them a mechanism or a method or a process, but then make it your own. There is not this perfect, we can create structures, frameworks to follow that because we are um, often quite linear and we're operating in time and space, we might need that. But, it doesn't mean that that's, what's the word? Regimented, this is the way it's got to be. And often that's what people will do when they're learning. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? And doubting themselves.
Yeah. Candace just said, you're a good teacher to me, Leslie. So.
Oh, well, thank you, Candice.
We do have a couple of
Make one comment.
comments.
Let me make one comment before you do that.
Oh, sure.
We're all teachers for each other, and don't forget that either. Everyone who comes to me, whether they're a student, whether they're a mentoring client, whether they're a Healy or a Reedy, we all learn from each other. Whether we're showing up as as the teacher or not. Okay, please continue.
It's also about faith in yourself as well. I think people don't have a lot of faith in themselves unless somebody has again anointed them, going, "You are a healer." Oh, good, I can be a healer now.
What I find is, at least with my students, that yes, that a lot of people, am I doing it right? Am I doing it? And so what a good teacher will do will validate you and support you and give you feedback and pointers rather than put themselves on the pedestal. And it's down to me that you become a healer because I've allowed you into my lineage or whatever.
Yeah, we're not, and by the way, we're not picking on any specific modality or anything like that. It's just, this is all as a generality. So if you have a modality that sort of fits into what we're talking about, don't worry about it. It's just a generality.
It is, but I think, I'd always also say that having a good teacher is really important, and there are some general principles that are important for all of us to know as a healer. One of them might be not to be the wounded healer and take on that energy of your client so that you're walking around feeling the same way that they are. Not to take responsibility for your client, to offer them energy and then have a boundary. To make sure as a healer that you're always healing yourself so that you don't get so stuck that you can't help anyone, let alone yourself. Being aware of where somebody is coming from, because if they are wanting to hand over all of their power to you, maybe that's not a good relationship for a healer and a Healy to have. So there are many lessons in the process of becoming a healer, and a really good teacher can help you be forewarned about some of these pitfalls and help you understand what you can do if such circumstances arise.
Yeah, very true. And we had somebody on the show ask a question last time we talked about this, and they said when they do one of their sessions, they feel zapped and drawn out, and we're worried that this client was controlling them, or working with an entity, or they were an
Yeah.
entity was taking over. But
Let me
anyway,
make,
it's time for
let
a
me
break right now.
comment on that. You don't ever use your own energy to give a healing to someone. That's another thing we need to learn. You channel neutral cleansing energy.
Yes,
And
from you.
a client can show up and do all sorts of things with their energy.
Yeah.
All right, we're back after these messages. Yay.
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 Yay. And this section's all about questions. So folks, get your questions down.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey, talking about energy healing. And we're in the section of the show where we really love to answer your questions.
Yes. And don't forget to if you're enjoying the show, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, please. Okay, so I will read a couple of the things that have come up so far. Not really any questions yet, but this is from Rosemaria. Acceptance can be healing as well, to go through the process, to be at peace, find beauty and happiness with each day they have left.
Actually, you bring up a good point. Acceptance. Acceptance is a quality that is necessary for change to happen. So healing can't occur without acceptance. And it certainly can't occur when we're in resistance. So acceptance doesn't mean I'm giving this the mark of approval, but it means I accept that this is the current way things are. I accept that this is what I've created. I accept this is what is the situation. And until you fully accept that, it's really hard to move on from it, because if you're not accepting it, you're in some level of resistance. So Rosemaria, thank you, because to be at peace and in acceptance does allow change to occur, does allow healing to occur.
And Julie Blue's song, she had a song, don't get attached to the outcome. That's very important. I mean, as much as you want to help people, again, it's not about you. So if a healing occurs, or if a cure occurs, that's fantastic. But if it doesn't, that's okay too. I mean, it's not about you. It's about that person. So they might not be ready. They might not feel that it's right. And this again is at a spiritual level. Maybe the contract that they made with themselves is to go through this pain. It's not about you, so don't get attached to the outcome. Very important, I think.
And I'd also say everybody creates in their own way and at their own pace. And so some people change quickly, or under certain circumstances and times of their life. And other times it might take them longer. You know, some people take the direct route. Some people wander around the scenery on the way. And that's okay, because everyone creates in their life journey in their own unique way.
Yeah. Rosemaria also says intentions can be set with your whole heart.
Yes.
Okay. So Curious Soul says, love the show. I'm tuned into it and resonate with the topic.
Well, great, George. Glad to hear it.
Yes. Okay, and actually that's all that's on there for now. Any more questions from the audience? Otherwise, I'll start asking again.
Yeah, so this is your chance, folks. Anything you've ever wanted to ask about healing?
So let me ask you a personal question on this, Dr. When did you recognize the fact that you were a healer? How did that come about? When did that come about? When did that affect?
I have a really early memory of being about 4 years old, and our car broke down, and I brought in gold energy through the car to help the car start again. That's my earliest memory of, I guess, healing something or creating change on that level. Tina said, "Did you see my question, Corey?" Oh, I see there are some questions now. Thanks, Ray.
Now there's some questions that have come up now, yeah. Actually, Tina, no, I did not see your question on here. You'll have to put it through again. Unfortunately, sometimes I don't know how that happens. Sometimes I lose a question here and there.
Yeah.
It's nothing I'm doing, it's just not going through. So let's
Brian Cole's asked a question which I can read if you can't see it.
Oh no, I got Brian's question.
Okay.
So let's read Brian's question. I know you said everyone can be healers, but are there those that are more natural healers, have a gift or affinity for it? Did you see that? Did you see that in your readings?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, because we all have a particular focus, don't we, for who we are this lifetime and what we're focused on this lifetime. So there are certain individuals who that is their focus. And there are certain individuals where, on a soul level or in their personal Akashic record, that is a theme that they've intensely followed lifetime after lifetime. So, of course, there are some people who are, we might say, a natural born healer. Somebody who's had 50 lifetimes as a healer is going to arrive this lifetime with a particular aptitude and understanding as compared to someone who perhaps hasn't done that. So yeah, or someone whose this lifetime is all about evolving on that level compared to someone who's got a completely different focus for their lifetime. So yeah. And yes, I do see that in my readings. And I have a reading called a Psychic Ability Blueprint reading, where we go through the whole range of psychic abilities. And energy healing is one of the psychic abilities in that profile. And different people have that emphasized in their blueprint chart, and other people don't. So thanks for that question, Brian.
Mm-hmm. It's another question from George, or more of a comment. George says, my wife and my daughters don't believe in healing except when they see it works. When I'm asking for pain relief, my wife's hand does the trick. It could be in my head, or they have some energy. So he's more or less wondering, do you think it has the energy? Or definitely.
You might have to read it again for me to make a comment on that. Okay. I'm sorry, I lost it half.
My wife and my daughters don't believe in healing except when they see it works. When I'm asking for pain relief, my wife's hand does the trick. It could be in my head. It could be in my head, or they have some energy.
Yeah, well, the hand chakras in the palms of your hands, your healing energy flows down your arms and out through the palms of your hands. And so when you hold hands with somebody, you're palm to palm, hand chakra to hand chakra, and it's quite possible that there's an energy interaction that's happening there that might clear something for you. Yeah. Great.
Okay, and this is from Tina. Tina says, I injured my toe a few months ago, and I've tried to do my own energy healing with it without success. I think there may be a subconscious issue associated with this that I'm blind to and need to work on. Can you please offer any guidance on this? Thank you.
Well, let's take a look at your toe. I'll make a couple of comments. One is, sometimes there'll be a particular area that is bothersome for a while. And we get frustrated because we say, well, I'm not healing it, it's not changing it. But it can be that we're just using that as a channel to process and clear a bunch of stuff, layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of stuff. So I quite often get clients like that they've got a particular issue. And every week we work on that issue. It's a different layer that's coming out. So that could be one reason. When I look at your toe, energetically, it's looking bulbous, like there's a swelling of energy in it. Let me see if I can see what that's to do with. Is it the big toe? She didn't say what toe.
No, she didn't say which toe.
I'm getting taking a step forward, but almost like this muttering under your breath, and it makes me think of putting up with stuff because you think you have to. So moving forward in life, but muttering under my breath because I'm doing it in spite of this, or I'm moving forward even though this. So it looks like there's just some frustration in life that you're thinking you have no choice but to accept, and then it's just bothering you every step of the way. That's what's coming up, and that might resonate with you. You might spot a circumstance in your life that reminds you of. It looks like, but it does also look like a deep old wound that you are wanting to ultimately heal, and it's just a reminder that I'm still healing, I'm still healing, I'm still healing, I'm still healing.
Yeah, it goes back to early teens. 13, 14-year-old. Yeah, what I'm getting from that is that there's something when she was about 13 years old that she had to do, and there was a real issue around it, whether it was fear or a determination that she didn't want to do it, or she was being forced into it, and that she couldn't step through that. She couldn't get past that, and it's now rearing its head again for her. I think, there's this, most of this stuff that we go through is trauma from the past. It's terrible, but it is what it is. I mean, things happen in the past that we get stuck on. Okay, so let me see which is the next. That's her. So this is from Joanna. She says, I've always felt like I have a lot of energy in my hands. And in recent years, I've been feeling drawn to the idea of becoming some kind of energy healer. Is there a specific modality that you might recommend for me to learn about more? The first one that I think of is Reiki, but I'd love to learn about many different modalities as well.
Reiki is often, this is the first one that most people think about.
Great, yeah.
It's got a lot of, what's the word? Press isn't the right word. But
no,
so did you miss the first part of our show? I think maybe you missed the first part of our show. So you might want to, when it airs, go back and listen to the first part, because we were talking about the idea of modalities and that the principle that no one modality is better than any other, but the core principle of all healing is everything is energy, and I can change energy using my intentions. But I'll take a look at you and see what comes up about the idea of you being a healer. Well, one picture that comes up, and it may be that this comes from a past life, and this is not going to sound necessarily like a healing modality, but it is Qigong. Qigong, where one is working with energy and manipulating energy and feeling energy, and working with energy moving through one's own system. So learning about energy. And I think Qigong came up because I think that you might have had a past life where there was a level of mastery of that particular I don't know if we want to call it a modality. I don't know that we want to call it a martial arts. I don't really know what we call it, but Qigong came up.
It's a practice.
Practice, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Anielle, I feel as though I'm clouded from seeing my way forward. I was always able to find my way, but I am not able to feel what is going on recently. Any ideas how to get back to my old self? Thank you.
I wonder if this is Danielle that took my course.
Not Danielle, Anielle.
Oh, Anielle. Okay.
A-N-I-E-L. Anielle.
I-E-L. Anil. Okay. Oh, I'm just going to give you a little quick healing. It's always awkward on the radio if one's not saying anything. But I'm giving you a quick healing because I don't know what to say about this. On the one hand, I see that you're connected with divine source, although the connection and the thread of light is a little bit thin. And then when it comes to your grounding and you're connecting to the planet, it's kind of split into three different connections. So it looks a bit like a pitchfork. Comes down and then off in three different directions, which is peculiar. And I'm not too sure why it's doing that, but there's something that's really interfering with your connection to the earth, your connection to the planet, your feeling at home here and feeling like you belong here. And I feel like it may be that it's connecting in to 2-3 past lives, which you're trying to use as a reference point for getting yourself to feel better on the one hand, but on the other hand, there's also this big bar of energy that slices through these three threads that are coming down your grounding. But either way, it doesn't look like an energy configuration that's actually going to help you, even though it looks like an attempt. Yes, because then if I try to bring your grounding cord into like a central column of light, you're wanting to bypass or go around it. So it feels like there's something that you are in denial of or avoiding or don't want to face or feel completely blocked. Like there's no way through this and I have to go around it. And it's a survival issue. And it also feels like, who can I trust? Who's got me? Who's there to catch me? And feeling like nobody is. So clearing beliefs around that, because any of those things I just said, they're actually a belief. And a belief is only as true as you allow it to be. And even though your life circumstances might seemingly prove to you or see that belief is right, it's actually the belief that's causing that to happen. So changing some core beliefs around that is what I would suggest. Unfortunately, I have to stop there because we've reached the end of the show. But everyone, thank you for joining Unlocking Your Truth this evening.
Great show. Yeah.
See you next week. Same time.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.